Nate Diaz says Conor McGregor is lying to himself ahead of UFC 202 rematch. Las Vegas, Nate Diaz isn't very impressed by the spin Conor McGregor has put on the result of their first encounter ahead of Saturday's rematch in the UFC 202 main event. McGregor, 19-3 MMA, 7-1 UFC, has thrown out many reasons why he believes his second-round submission loss to Diaz, 19-10 MMA, 14-8 UFC, at UFC 196 in March came about the way it did. From a lack of time to prepare after original opponent Rafael dos Anjos fell out, to the jump up to the welterweight division, to Diaz's Homer Simpson-like durability, the Notorious has plenty of ammo to explain his loss. Unfortunately, Diaz isn't buying any of it, especially since he was the one that stepped into the contest as an injury replacement on just 10 days' notice. McGregor will have the chance to right what he claims was the one-time wrong when he steps in the octagon with Diaz again at UFC 202, which airs on pay-per-view from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas following prelims on FS1 and UFC Fight Pass. Diaz, however, isn't buying any of McGregor's excuses, particularly his prediction of a second-round knockout victory. "I think he got a lot of people around him and he's trying to pump himself up, and he's either lying to himself or to the world about his confidence or trying to make himself believe it," Diaz said at today's UFC 202 pre-fight news conference. "But he remembers what happened in the last fight, and I think it's a little silly. He's got pictures of me in his garage with me punching him in the face. What the expletive? Who does that? You're trying to make yourself believe something. He's trying to hype himself up, but when he goes to sleep at night, he remembers what happened the last time." Although McGregor is the UFC featherweight champion and came up to 170 pounds for both the UFC 196 fight and the UFC 202 rematch, Diaz also said the repeated mention from McGregor's side of weight management being a factor in the outcome of the contest is simply false. It's not that big of a weight advantage when he's talking about fighting Robbie Lawler, coming up and taking the belts and all this stuff. Then all of a sudden I got 30 pounds on him and they're making excuses for whatever," Diaz said. He's fought 145 pounds and 155 pounds in his career, and I've fought 155 pounds in my career, and I had a couple fights at 170. I don't know how I suddenly became this monstrous heavyweight against Conor McGregor just because I won the fight. McGregor may be making bold declarations of what will occur at UFC 202, but Diaz is far more reserved. He said he can compete with his rival in any area, and when it comes to Saturday night, he's just as interested as the rest of the world in seeing how the fight plays out. "I'm a mixed martial artist," Diaz said. "You kick, you grapple, you everything. It's a mixed martial arts fight. I always train hard to be in the best shape I can, in or out of season. We're going to have to get in there and see what happens in the fight. That's what I'm here for, that's what we're all here for." For more on UFC 202, check out the UFC Rumors section of the site.